Hey everybody, Asher here. It is time to take a return to the Path of Achra, which is a game that I looked at in early access, and my exact review was I'm not smart enough to play this game. Well, we're going to see if I'm a little bit smarter or a little bit better, because I think I was overcomplicating the game for myself, and we're also just going to have a chat about how things are doing. I hope you all are doing okay today. I am actually going to be kind of working with the combo that I was working with before. It seemed like it was going okay until it wasn't, so I'm just going to try to redo the wheel that I had here, and we'll kind of talk about what that means as we do. If you haven't seen Path of Achra before, think of it as kind of like a much slower Rift Wizard. You have a variety of builds and combos that you can do, and your goal is kind of to make your own build here. So we are Red the Naki Marabuzian. Oh wow, I can't pronounce any of this. This is amazing. Anyway, we're gonna start, and we're just gonna dive in here because, well, literally dive in here because the ocean is rising and overtaking us. So the way that I have a build set up here is that we have two weapons. We have a stabby thing with pierce damage, and we have a slashy thing with slash damage. And so we're going to try to build a build that works towards that a little bit. Now, what I was trying to do before was to have kind of a fun psych build here with like psychokinesis, which we'll learn. And see, one of the things about me not being smart enough for this game is that I may just be doing things that don't work very well together. But if we look at some of the prestige classes here, we have like a few various like psychic based things that we can do. I think there's even a psychic and blood, which is kind of exciting to work towards that. Maybe we can work towards that. The problem is that it's a little bit harder to get the self heal going. You got to get it on hits, but one of the things that I've kind of run into is trying to make builds not like work together. So I'm going to see if I can actually have just something based on being hit. That's kind of the number one advice that I've gotten. Stick with like casting and have all your skills go around that, or hitting things or being hit. That's kind of the basis to get started here. But otherwise, yeah, it is a turn-based roguelike, and you are going to hear a lot of psychic sounds. In fact, I'm going to turn down the sound volume just a touch, because otherwise it's going to get really loud. So as you may be aware, I am currently in kind of one of the busiest states of my work, which works okay. I mean, considering this is what I signed up for. It's nice to be able to be like, okay, well, I have a little bit of steadiness there. That means obviously that I've had to trade out some things, like not doing so much with the YouTube anymore, but a lot of that's also because I have been trying to exercise more. It's something I've talked about in prior videos, so I'm going to stick instead to kind of just work, because there's something that is grinding my gears just a little bit, and we're just going to play as we go along here, and hopefully things work. I got a wild club. A wild club approaches. Is it any better than anything I have here? On attack if two-handing, no, we want to be doing two single-hand, so that's not going to work. And on hit, heal yourself, apply inflame to yourself. Heal equals 5 times the skill level. I think this actually hurts you. Yeah, deal 15 fire damage to yourself. But at least for the time being, I think one of these weapons actually has a healing property on it. Maybe, or we're going to die, and this is going to be a very short run. Let's find out. So one of the things that's kind of kept me busy just a little bit is the fact that I have a whole stack of trials coming up. And if you have been spoiled a little bit by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking a bit about the Americans with Disabilities Act today, which, if you're not from America, just know that that is ancient legislation from the late 1900s that essentially says that in order for courts or public spaces to be fair, that everyone kind of needs to have equal access or reasonable access when things cannot be the same. So I thought to myself, okay, Americans with Disability Act, federal law, sacrosanct, very kind of simple idea where, you know, maybe we don't like have a super complicated issue, and I am actually dying, so that's fun. We'll see if we can fix that in the skill tree in a second. Unfortunately, what I've come to learn here is that I am super wrong about that, and nobody really wants to say it's their job. So that is the short of it. I am working in state court and it is a federal law, so federal law is always going to apply in state court. And pretty much the way that it is worked out is probably best described with actually giving a little bit of a narrative of how we got here in the first place. So in my years of representing people, there is one client I've had in particular that has been particularly litigious. In other words, he likes to have court cases, and he will take every single thing possible to trial. That is fine. That is his constitutional right to do that. So that is exactly what I have been kind of working towards. The only problem is that I've known him for years, and he's been in jail for a little while now. And yeah, I'm not exactly sure which skill I want to take to try to heal myself, because clearly I need a little bit more healing. And I don't always want to do this one. That's going to take 5 skill points. We got to survive a few more levels to get there. And I got to start dealing blood damage, which means we take hemo blood touch too, which is, I guess that's the plan. All right. But yeah, this client in particular, he has taken everything to trial, and bless him, sometimes it works out, sometimes it does not in spectacular fashion. And where it has come down to is that he has a pending case for a case that I have on appeal. And he also has a pending felony because he got in trouble while he was out on bail on other stuff. I'm not going to get into the details of that. That's for kind of another life. But the point is that he wants a trial. He's been sitting in jail for a while, and one of the things that has come up while he's in jail is that he cannot hear, and I cannot communicate with him over the jail phone effectively because he cannot hear. Now, was he always deaf? No. In fact, this guy has late age hearing loss. So let me just talk real quick about what the Americans with Disabilities Act does and kind of how it plays out in court, generally speaking, is that you have somebody who has a need, and then the court is supposed to supply some kind of accommodation to help deal with that need. In other words, to try to help somebody, to try to make sure that they can follow through the court. Even if it's like things like, okay, you're visually impaired, you need to have access to be able to read things. It also plays out in some other avenues, like there's constitutional issues like you need to actually be able to have court in a language that you can understand. So there are interpreters around all the time. In fact, that is one of the number one suggestions I've gotten for the moment somebody hears my client has hearing loss. It's like, well, why don't you just get a sign language interpreter? Easy done. Oh yeah, I can't equip that because enemies are nearby. Yeah, well, it doesn't really help for sign language, and my client doesn't know sign language because he has lived his entire life being able to hear. He got hearing aids at old age. He is a veteran. That will come to play later, and I have medical records showing that the hearing loss is related to his service. So, can't do the simple thing. If it was as simple as, hey, let's go find a sign language interpreter, this wouldn't be an issue. But instead, I have somebody who, when I go to talk to him in jail, he loves it. He just gets to talk whatever he wants to talk about, and he cannot hear me at all. I can write written notes. I can try to do handwritten answers. My handwriting is terrible though, so that doesn't always work. I should have gotten the blood skill. I still can actually. That can be done during combat. It's just equipping items cannot be done. So see, now you can see my life total is kind of eking back up. It's getting a little dicey there. It's actually still getting a little dicey. I'm not too happy with my life total. This may be an embarrassing loss early on. Let's see, that pine cleaver. Let's actually check my equipment for a second. But yeah, so that's kind of the backdrop, is we have somebody who he clearly needs some kind of help, some kind of services. And so the Americans with Disabilities Act says, okay, if this person is going to have a trial, we need to supply accommodations so that this person can properly appear in court. And that is a American constitutional issue where Appearing doesn't just mean being physically present, which is something that I had to appeal the case because the judge didn't care that he was sitting there in a trial where he could not hear a damn thing. Yeah, we're going to skip that shrine because it will kill me. These guys might kill me too. I may not be long for this world, but that's Path of Achra, a game that I still suck at. Okay, I'm getting some health back. All right, let's actually use some of these prayers too. I don't know for sure if that's gonna help. But yeah, if I die, I die, and it's fine. But so that's the prelude. In law school, they always tell you to issue spot, and major issue. How do we have a trial with a client who can't hear? So enter one of the kind, friendly court reporters that I'm trying to get all of this stuff together. My jurisdiction has a brand spanking new courthouse. I brought all of my own equipment, and you know I have my own computer set up, AV set up, so I have equipment available, but I am not able to hook it into anything in the courthouse, which is bizarre. Like there is HDMI cables, things like that, but no, I'm not allowed to connect anything into the audio system, so I can't just plug in audio for my client, although I also have concerns there. Now I'm living a little better. I have concerns about things like if I'm blasting really high volume sound into somebody's ear with hearing damage, isn't that gonna possibly be worse? So the solution to that is very simple. Enter my client being a veteran. He has, and this is not a situation that I or anybody in my jurisdictions ever really run into. As a veteran, he has certain benefits available to him as part of the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs. All this talk that you hear a lot in America about how veterans are not properly taken care of, and they're really not. There's a lot of veterans out there that need help and assistance, including my client. What it boils down to is that he has a long-standing, and from another case I've had with him, thousands of pages of medical records worth of service he's gotten at the VA, and one of those services that he's gotten is hearing aids. And hearing aids at the VA work like this. You can only request them, I don't remember the number offhand, and I guess I didn't do my homework to be prepared because I'm trying to kill bugs while talking about this, is once every 6 years you can get replacement hearing aids. It's some time frame like that. That's how a lot of the VA services work, is that you're not going to have to pay out of pocket, but you do have to wait your turn sometimes. So, okay, I have a client who has hearing aids that are available at the VA. If I can just get him to there from jail to get those available. That's a reasonable request, right? You would think that's just like, okay, so I can't use my own equipment to have my client be able to hear stuff, but the VA can give him hearing aids that he qualifies for. Let's just do that. Nope, all hell breaks loose. One of the court reporters suggested, we have somebody available who can do what's called real-time transcription service. So instead of having to wait for the VA to do their thing, we can have a court reporter go and have, in other words, the transcript that is being done in court for my client available to read in real time, which is neat. But at the same time, it's like, okay, that is an accommodation that can work, but we have hearing aids. No, I was told by the court, while you're working on hearing aids, we're going to try to have a trial with real-time transcription service. Like, once again, this is one of the things I've had to argue, and it's been a months-long process here, is that he is entitled under the Americans with Disabilities Act to have accommodations. It needs to just be reasonable accommodations, though. In other words, it can't be all accommodations. It's not always possible. This guy is not killing me, but we are going to take a quick gander at this combat log because this is what Path of Achra does. It overwhelms you with information at the bottom of the screen. So Ergonite is not having the best day right now. I am going to actually cast here because that's fun. It's just fun to use these blessings. This is not so much a build about blessings as other things. I should be sacrificing equipment to try to get buffs. Maybe we'll do that in a little bit, but instead I'm going to keep talking. So once again, we have, I'm going to, let's see what this guy is. Yeah, we're going to skip him. We're definitely skipping that. He will one-shot me. But But yeah, what it's turned into is that everybody kind of wants to be right, and everyone is wanting to have their time or their say. And so we're at the point now where there needs to be something available for my client. Well, you would think that getting a court reporter who can have a real-time transcript be able to go over for my client to read would actually be kind of reasonable. You just hook that up and have something for my client to read and go on. But no, this is also where all hell breaks loose. Because that suggestion was made. I'm very fortunate to be in a jurisdiction where there is a court reporter available who's certified to do that. Because in the state that I live in, which is one of the larger states in the United States of America, one of the ones they like to talk about in election season is constantly being in play, even though it's kind of not. There are a grand total of 4 people who are certified to do real-time transcript and CART certification. In other words, okay, these guys are not killing me right away either. And the CART is another issue that I've kind of poo-pooed about with the court before, so let me back up and explain that. So it's a 2-step process. You have real-time transcript, somebody there who can give you... Oh wow, this is going to kill me if I don't get out of range here. Let's actually get some more life. And then there's CART. What CART is... Let's see if I can trick these guys. Nope, not like that. Just come to me. Come to me. Come to me. You guys always want to aggro. There we go. One's roasted and toasted. There's the other one. So the real-time transcript is kind of the overarching. You have your transcript. But obviously, if you've ever seen any kind of trial or courtroom drama or anything, a question's going to come up in court. And a client's going to need to go over and kind of whisper, have a conversation with his attorney. You can't really do that if your client doesn't hear. And I can try to handwrite notes. I've done that plenty of times. But my handwriting is awful, and my client is very obstinate. So he doesn't always want to participate with that, nor should he, because it needs to be a reasonable accommodation. But yeah, when there's only 4 people available in the state, it starts to turn into an issue where, yeah, how can you provide an accommodation when there's not somebody available to be there? And do you get a judge that's going to try to force you to power through and do it anyway? Or are you going to have to do the legwork? Turns out I'm going to have to do the legwork. I'm terrified that these guys are going to do way too much damage and kill me, because these little ranged attacks are not very cute. What can I do for my skill tree here? Maybe I take a little more psychic damage. I wish I had a little more skills to do some of this other stuff. I haven't really focused on my defenses very well, so let's just do psychic for now, because it's a little rangy. I don't think I have prestige. Oh, I do have prestige available. So we can do Mine Hunter or we can do Paragon. Mine Hunter, +1 speed per point of willpower upon dealing psychic damage if unencumbered. 200 damage dealt again as blood damage on step repulsion on yourself. So we are a Mine Hunter now. How's my encumbrance doing? I'm in the green because I have 18 strength. So I think we're okay. My inflexibility is not great. I need more willpower. Ugh, Rage Fetish. Resist blood on prayer. On block. Oop, not what I wanted to do. Alright, so if we click here, we sacrifice this. Did that bonus actually go anywhere? I don't know. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. It's one of the things, it's like, yeah, sacrificing is important, but I don't exactly remember how it works. Alright, like, for instance, I'm clicking the wrong thing here. This is a really nice axe. On killing an enemy, heal times 5 your strength. Let's sacrifice it. Okay. Well, clearly something's getting lost in translation, but it's fine. 2 armor. This is just a regular lance that deals lightning damage. I think that's just a straight up upgrade. Can get some nicer pants. If unencumbered, -6 in flexibility. I'm still clicking the wrong thing here. Okay. Alright, so yeah, this is one of those things where you have to deal with all kinds of items that you get. On adjacent attack, deal psychic damage. Damage equals your dodge. Well, my dodge isn't great. But this is probably better than what I have. So let's wield that in the offhand. Alright, my speed isn't awesome. It's fine. I'm just trying not to die right now, so hopefully that's how it goes. Or I could die right now because I'm getting ranged attacked all to hell. Okay. Managed to heal through that a little bit. So the saga, like I said, kind of goes like this. Okay, now we're getting in the positive here. Need more of these things. I'm gonna get some more life. So there's very few people available in the state, and what has ended up happening is that I really just got in contact with everybody I could. And it turned into, well, we're not available, or we're not available at this time or setting right now. Which makes sense. I mean, people have their own schedules. I have my own schedule. I just can't be available on a whim, no matter how much DSS Court tries. That's a joke. But then we turn around, and next thing you know, this is the cycle that I've had to deal with trying to get just basic stuff set up instead of just being able to get my client hearing aids. And that is that I've been in contact with the Department of Health and Human Services for the state, who said, well, you need to talk to the Court Reporters Association to try to get there. And then the head of the Court Reporters Association essentially came back to me and said, you need to talk to Department of Health and Human Services for their hard of hearing services, which is really fun because they added to that detail. Oh, and also, it is my office's belief that under the Americans with Disabilities Act, that we don't actually have to supply anything. We agree that your client is entitled to it, but we are not actually the ones that are supposed to supply like any sort of assistance or services for your client. So if the state and the state agencies are pointing at each other and saying we're not supposed to do this, this is somebody else's job, who the hell is supposed to do it? And I think the answer to that riddle is getting another point of master repulsion in a little bit. But also, because our damage is not quite scaling very nicely. But during all of that hullabaloo and back and forth, it was actually looking like we were going to have a trial. Anyway, trying to use real-time transcription service until a very large murder trial came up on the docket. And remember, we have one court reporter of the 4 in the state who is certified to do CART transcription, which I explained briefly again as letting a court reporter write down sort of the private chats that you have with your client there at counsel table, and the real-time transcript, which is the transcript of the entire proceeding. It's fun because that jury trial involved a defendant who was completely deaf. And so the same real-time transcript, all of that was also needed there. And a murder trial is going to take priority over what my client is charged for. So it went into, well, you know, We have everything here except for the court reporter available. You think that'd be reasonable for me to say, okay, let's try to move this case and put it on another day. Nope, had to fight that too. DA's office said, we want to do this, let's go. And yeah, the judge ended up siding with me on that, but let's remember here that once again, this is me, a sole practitioner, versus kind of just everybody else who's constantly trying to tell me to go. So during all of this time, I finally got a judge to sign an order saying, let's transport my client over to the VA to get hearing aids. It took that long. It took literally a murder trial making people unavailable for a judge to do that. And once again, this is under the Americans with Disabilities Act. My client is entitled to have reasonable accommodations in court. And it really took that much. So I got those transport orders in place. But the VA being the VA, appointments are not available immediately, but there were appointments available before his next trial date. So, hey, Ogre, that's fun. Here's a fun story about what happens to an old person who has been sitting in jail for a long time with a big history of health problems anyway. Okay, I hope that guy doesn't one-shot me. Let's get some more armor. Okay, I did not get one shot. That's a plus. What happens is they start to do screening and a cleaning to get like his hearing aids fitted and stuff like that, and they run into complications. So my client suddenly goes from we're getting hearing aids and we'll have hearing aids for the next court date to, oh, I had to schedule him for surgery, and that surgery is not going to be available until after these upcoming court dates. At this point, the DA's office is sick of me. Like, literally, I've been accused of trying to, not so much stall tactics, but just, it's even worse than that. I almost would rather be called, hey, why are you trying to do some stall tactics, Asher? You shouldn't be stalling like this. It's literally like, why are you fighting so hard for this guy? Just like, come on, y'all. You know me if you're wondering why I'm fighting so hard for somebody. But yet to literally have people from the state ask me, what's your point? Why are you doing this? Very, very akin to the stage version of To Kill a Mockingbird I got to see recently, which I have a lot of thoughts on that because I made damn sure to teach that book every year I taught American literature. And it's definitely on the up and up with banned book list. But that's another story for another time because To Kill a Mockingbird really does not apply to this client at all. Not even close, except for why are you trying to help? So there's complications, and it turns out that murder trial ended a lot sooner than expected. So now it's trial time. We do have the court reporter available. Despite people saying, well, why do you keep doing this? We actually have everything available to go with real-time transcript for my client, where once again, all we need is reasonable accommodations for the case to go to trial, where we have the state that refuses to do it, the DA's office that's really refusing to allow me to do it. And by some fortune, it's taken me having to argue with 3 different judges. But very fortunately, I keep running into the judge that signed the transportation order. And that was the judge that was in court when we tried to do a real-time transcript for this client. And this is another sort of lesson about the Americans with Disabilities Act. Reasonable doesn't just mean, okay, we tried, but we're going to keep going. Reasonable means reasonable under the circumstances. If you ever go to law school, you're going to hear a lot about that. We're just going to do prayers for fun. But what is reasonable under the circumstances for somebody who has to read a screen, who can't hear, and you have to follow along with that screen? You know how fast attorneys talk. You know how fast I talk. And I can slow it down. I used to teach high school English. I know how to talk slower. But the moment you start picking a jury or something, or having lay witnesses in there that are not professionally trained to talk, yeah, it's going to turn into my client having to read what's on a screen much, much faster than he's able to keep up with. Because he's old, he's not the fastest reader anyway, and he showed up to court with half a pair of glasses. because he's been sitting in jail, and apparently somebody thought, you know, it's not fair that you get to have glasses, so I'm going to snap them in half. So is it a reasonable accommodation to force my client to try to read through? Well, the judge's solution was, please get somebody to get the other half of his glasses. So they did, and they taped them together. And then, well, the judge smartly says, instead of just calling in the jury, let's start the trial, let me interview him and talk to your client a bit to see how this is working out, how to test it. And simple interactions, it worked. My client was able to read. He was able to read the disclaimer from the court reporter that says that this is an unedited real-time thing. If there are errors, it doesn't mean that it's the final transcript, it's just here. But any sort of compound question for my client was a problem. And I have 2 pending trials. The DA that is on the most serious charge definitely was like, holy shit. The case that I have with that DA involves multiple documents, multiple audio recordings, a lot of witnesses that are talking about things that are going to have to be read into the record for my client that might be able to read about 20 words per minute on a good day. And plus, if it's your own skin that's in the game because you're on trial for a criminal charge, you're not just going to speed read that shit. So it took that long to be like, okay, I'm going to not oppose your motion to continue. Not agree to it, just not oppose it, because that's the world that I live in, but I will take the W where I can. This is sometimes in Path of Achra you get caught in the action loops. I was trying to do a prayer and it wouldn't let me because I was constantly fighting. What's my speed, by the way? Yeah, my speed's 27, so that's why I'm able to do a few actions per turn. But what my life is kind of a microcosm of this. I've been saying for a long time that I have problems communicating with this client. But it takes people seeing a judge try to have the patience of a saint. And at one point I tried to get my client to essentially say, please stop talking. The judge is trying to ask you questions. Because instead of reading the screen that had the questions that were being asked, he was just talking. Because once again, lots of things. Sorry, I had a dog bathroom interruption there, but the judge said to me trying to stop my client, no, don't worry about it, he's fine. And who am I to question the judge? So, in essence, the entire courtroom got to see what my jail interviews have been like for the past 2 years with this client. He will rant, he will rave, he will pretty much just say what he wants and dodge or ignore the question. He will name drop every famous person under the sun. He will tell you all of the conspiracies of things that are going on against him. And here's the thing. He's competent to stand trial. Like, the standard for that is a totally different question. It's just that my ability to communicate with somebody is really limited when he wants to talk about other things. And when you have someone that can't hear and can sometimes read on the screen very slowly with glasses that are taped together, it's hard to keep him on task even under normal circumstances. And that's the lesson, is that eventually the judge did make a ruling, and the ruling was, it was straightforward. It's about the only ruling that you could make, is that the accommodation that was available, which is real-time transcript, is not a reasonable accommodation for being able to have a jury trial with that client. Hey, Roguelike. I hope you don't kill me. What's your stats? On player step, teleport to the player, perform an extra attack against the player, and apply stasis to the unit. Maybe I don't step. There's lots of treasures here, though, so let's try prayer. And let's just stand still. Oh, here's our buddy! Hi, friend! Did I win? I think I won. Look at how far his health's down. 172 out of that much. I did that much damage. Like, yeah. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I've never have actually won a run of Path of Achra. So, oh, I got an achievement, the God at the End of the World. There we go. So, hooray, you got to witness history. All because I got just a little bit smarter, unless somebody embarrasses me at the end here. But the judge made an order. It says essentially those accommodations are not reasonable. This trial, none of the trials can happen until my client gets hearing aids, which that appointment is still there. For good measure, the judge also ordered that I be able to get my client glasses as well, which I'll be honest with you, the VA has been really good about letting me schedule stuff. I've been shocked at how good the VA's been with me, an attorney, calling on behalf of my client who's in jail. And the jail's been very cooperative with the transport orders from the judge, which is really nice. My client's had good experience at his appointments so far. But the hearing aids are still pending. But for extra good measure, the judge also gave me leave to get equipment that will actually work in the courtroom in case we have to try the real-time transcript thing again. So I'm not out of the woods, but it's a good real-life lesson of, it doesn't always work out like law school tells you to. You would think the Americans with Disabilities Act, people would understand. Well, that's the thing. Theoretically, everybody, every attorney in that building understands that somebody's disabled. So we have to try to treat things fairly. But when your client is a deaf, old, raging asshole who is known by the local police as a person who constantly is an asshole to everybody he meets, the system really tries to come down on them, and that's where it's been my role, at least in those cases, to be like, hold on a second, and also hold on a second, I'm actually dying here. To actually be like, the law's supposed to protect this kind of... Let's get some more vigor here. The law is supposed to protect and apply to everybody, not just the people that you like. But it's been... If enemies live, perform all standstill actions. That's cute. What's my HUD here? Apply to evasion. I don't really have a lot of standstill actions, so we're not going to worry about that. There's a lot of other items I haven't worked with, and I probably should, so let's just start sacrificing them just to see if I can get a little more power here at the end. I'm sure there are better weapons. Deal slash damage to adjacent units. Damage times your speed. Death staff. Cute. Other things. Deal physical damage freeze. Yeah, let's just... We're just sacrificing all the things. I don't even know... I want to be honest, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I've just been so busy talking about life. And I know some of y'all like to hear court stories. And that's one of the things, is that obviously, as an attorney, part of what I do is be a storyteller. It's something that I've always tried to do, kind of with the YouTube stuff as well. But ultimately, the stories are not always like bright and cheery, especially now that I do a lot more parent representation in DSS court. Oftentimes, it's downright depressing, and people don't want to hear what's going on. But here's the other side of it too, as we're getting some range damage here, is that things are messy. Everyone understands that people need help, but nobody wants to be the one to give the help. I was supposed to level up my willpower. Let's do that now, because that'll actually increase my damage and increase my prestige thing. That's a silly thing to miss. Like, what's here? Willpower, speed, yeah. Let's do this. Try to get a little more self-healing. What's Mask of Frenzy? That looks like it might be useful. But yeah, that's how my life is going in a nutshell. It's very busy, but I can now actually say that the kind of problems I'm dealing with are the kind where I've been in contact with the local Defense Bar Association, and it's always a very good resource to have to talk to people who have done this shit before, especially when they tell me, Oh my god, we haven't done any shit like this before. Or the actual... Whoa, what is going on here? Apparently we're just having a fight. Okay, yeah, I won. That's cute. That's Path of Achra sometimes. You just don't know, and you can read through the whole combat log if you want. But we're going to do another one here. So these guys are astral, and they're just teleporting to me to fight. That's all it is. That's all this is, right? No, it's not all it is. Let's punch him anyway. There we go. More willpower for the wicked here. But that's going to be my role too, is that eventually these cases are going to go to trial, and it's going to be a nightmare, and it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be a train wreck, just because the court system is not equipped to help people like this. Like, these are the edge cases that people have to deal with when they're trying to mitigate problems. It's like, well, what if somebody checks all the boxes with shit that's going on that's bad? What do? Well, you do your best. And that's essentially my role at this point, is do the best that I can for my client, try to mitigate any harm that the system's going to do to try to come down on them, and maybe, just maybe, come through in a way that my client's not going to be happy. I know the state of his cases, but he does appreciate that I am working my ass off to get him his day in court, because as he has a lot of experience with the criminal justice system, he's had to deal with plenty of people that really would just rather get on with their golf day on Friday or just not be bothered. And it's kind of like, I've talked about this with some of my colleagues in DSS court, because there's a lot of people that are leaving the parent representation list. And honestly, enough of that shit pisses me off that I would rather go running towards it and try to fight for people than run away from it because it's difficult. And that is a good thing to kind of figure out in my practice as stuff is going on, because I am losing health and I'm probably going to have to be very careful here. I'd like to get to the end of the run. We're gonna take some Vigor, thank you. Alright. That worked out a little better. I don't like those little starfish looking things. What are you? Gold Demon. You look like I'm not dissing the art in this game at all. It's just funny. It's on dealing psychic damage, so they're literal mine hunters. Cute. But yeah. I guess that's one thing that ultimately makes some people uncomfortable, is that I'm one of those true believers. When I go into court and say I'm just a mouthpiece for my client, that's what it means. I'm not sitting there trying to just get my own self-esteem up or pat myself on the back. I'm just there to chop some wood and do the best I can for my people. Do I want to actually get more self-healing? I feel like Master Repulsion is probably the best place to go. But I am a little wary of we're gonna go for Master Repulsion. But the problem is that we're almost done with the run, so I don't know if this run has 3 more levels. But any of the skills I'm looking at are gonna have stuff available. But yeah, like I said, feel free to talk in the comments about how you're doing. But yeah, this is I have like a hunch that this is a run that's just gonna do well until the very end, and then it's not. All right, let's get some more strength. Can we get some more levels? I don't know if we can. I'm sure there's a way somewhere as we look at our cookie demons here. Like, there we go. Just hide behind a corner. This game does have an auto walk function, and it has auto walked me into multiple deaths for multiple cats. But yeah, the repulsion mechanic does give me increased bonus damage, so each floor my damage is going to scale up a lot. Like repulsion right now, deal 1 psychic damage to attacker on being attacked. So it's The ultimate thorns, I guess you could say. And maybe I need another one, and maybe I don't. Do we have one more level? I don't know. Oh, it's the King of Many Colors is here. Oh, disciples. Oh, disciples, how to farm, E-I-E-I-O. Let's do this. I think that's as good as we're going to get. Tell me about yourself, King of Many Colors. An invader from beyond the astral wall, summoner of demons, king who once wandered, master of distorted light. Summon 3 arbiters on game turn, summon a demon on a random tile. Attacks with poison damage. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to, like, eat it here in a second, so we'll just see how this goes. Okay, so I didn't eat it right away. And I'm getting my repulsion stacks up. That's fun. Here's the King of Many Colors. Let's see how you're doing today. Look at that combat log! Oh, look at it go. I just destroyed him. I didn't even attack him. I moved next to him. Yeah. I don't even know what this means. But apparently I won. Or I won an achievement, so let's see if we can actually kill the dangerous things that are being really just jerky right now. And we have deal an instance of 10,000 damage. Cool. Is that game? Victory! Praise Humbaba. You enter the second cycle of degradation, and I won 98 glory. Well, there we go. Path of Achra. I finally won a game. And all it took was, me going for Mine Hunter and some blood stuff. So that'll do it for this one. Like I said, I always like throwing in a little bit of a life update there. I meant to click stats, but we got some unlocks. Man, it's a lot of unlocks. So if we return and we look over here, I should be able to see the run stats. Maybe. No, maybe not. Well, anyway, I won. Hooray. That'll do it for this one. This is Asher. Sometimes you have to live to fight another day, both in court and in Path of Achra. Thanks for hanging out. We'll do this again another time. You all take care.